These are some of the best new games coming out this May that you may not have heard of. Starting off with one of the first big games coming out this May is Age of Wonders 4. This is a Paradox Game Studios game which is based on the same mechanics and gameplay as Age of Wonders 3 if you happen to already have played that. If you haven't, what you need to know is that it's a 4X turn-based strategy game that takes place inside of a fantasy world with all sorts of crazy looking creatures. This game really seems to emphasize the customization of the empire or civilization, whatever you want to call it, that you're playing in the game. For an example, the devs have even stated that you'll be able to play halfling cannibals if that's something you want to do. The whole idea is that you can really customize the gameplay to be how you want it to be, whether that be in game settings or that be in creation of your actual faction. Regardless of whether or not you've played previous Age of Wonders games or you just like 4X strategy games in general, this is definitely a game you're going to want to keep your eye on. Following that is Redfall, which will also be coming out on May 2nd. Redfall is a game that will have you finding yourself inside the middle of a vampire-infested town. Your job, of course, is going to be to eliminate those pesky vampires with supernatural powers, guns, and of course explosives. To me, this looks like it's going to have some kind of looter-shooter vibes to it, but we won't know for sure until we get our hands on it. It is worth noting that this is a PC and Xbox exclusive game, so sorry for you PlayStation players as you won't get a chance to play it.
You are in the presence of a god.
Next is the Paws and Claws update, which will be coming out on May 10th for Core Keeper. This update will bring with it a new sub-biome filled with cattle and other hatchable animal companions that can help fight alongside you. There are also new decorative items coming with it, as well as a creative mode where you'll be able to build to your heart's content with infinite materials. If you do decide to play Core Keeper though, make sure to pick it up fast as the game will be going from $12.99 USD currently to $15.99 when this update hits on May 10th. Up next is probably the biggest game on this list, and that is the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game. This will be coming out on May 12th, and it boasts some crazy new mechanics that will be introduced into the Legend of Zelda world. I mean, if you just watch the trailer alone, you can see some of these crazy new ideas that they're bringing to the table, such as being able to craft vehicle-like structures, complete some crazy-looking puzzles, increased amounts of verticality, and possibly even being able to fight alongside allies. Regardless of whether or not you've been a Legends of Zelda fan throughout the years or you're new to the franchise altogether, this is a game you will not want to miss out on.
Link, you must find me.
And following that is the new V Rising expansion, which will be coming out on May 17th and is called Secrets of Gloomrot. This is a free expansion to the base V Rising game, so if you already own it, you will not have to purchase anything. It's going to bring with it a completely new zone, reworks to the base game and its mechanics, new craftable tables, more castle customization and verticality, and of course new bosses that seem to have a Frankenstein/steampunk inspiration to them. Next is a bit of a hidden gem in my opinion, and that is Inkbound, which will be coming out on May 22nd. Inkbound is a new roguelike turn-based title that claims to be trying to reinvent the turn-based gameplay concept. Now that is a big claim, but they seem to be able to back it up, at least from what we've seen so far. And while we don't have exact details as far as this game goes, we do know that it will have a JRPG style of movement to it, where you'll be able to move about the world freely until you enter combat with somebody, and then you'll start your turn-based style of gameplay. As far as we can tell, the combat seems to be somewhere along the lines of like a Baldur's Gate 3 kind of combat, but we can't really tell for sure until we actually get into this game. More importantly though, this is a roguelike game that has the ability for you to play with up to 4-player co-op, which is something we just don't see enough within this genre. And therefore, if the game even sounds remotely interesting to you, I would highly recommend you keep your eye on it, as it could be a massive surprise hit if they do it right. Next is Amnesia: The Bunker, which is coming out on May 23rd, and if you didn't already know somehow, what you need to know is that Amnesia is a very, very popular horror game. So if you like things that are scary and you want to play a horror game with devs that have a pretty good track record, then I would highly recommend you check this out. Me personally, I will be staying away from this game with a 10-foot pole, as I am a scaredy cat and have no desire to have nightmares every single night for the next week. But if you're one of those people that do enjoy horror games, then I'm sure you're in for a treat. Coming out on that same date though is going to be Warhammer 40k Boltgun. This game is basically just Doom meets the 40k universe, and I don't mean your modern Doom, where we've got Doom guy jumping around and shoving his hand through monsters' skulls and things like that, but instead we're talking about the old school Doom from the 90s, where you'll be able to go ahead and use your keyboard and get that nice retro feel that we all crave and miss from back in the day. I think a lot of players will get some nostalgia out of this, even though it isn't the actual Doom universe, as it looks like the gameplay will be able to be played without a mouse, just like the old school Dooms were themselves. Alrighty, for our last game on this list, we'll be talking about Farworld Pioneers, which will come out on May 30th. Farworld Pioneers currently seems to be somewhere between a Starbound game and a Terraria game, and to be completely honest with you, that's not a bad thing. I think many people really enjoyed the combat style of Starbound, but they wanted the more Terraria-esque gameplay feel, at least as far as the creativity and stuff goes. This game is actually taking place in that more futuristic setting, and we don't know exactly what it's going to hold so far, but just from looking at the trailer and just from looking at what the game has to say about itself, it does seem like something that you would enjoy if you've enjoyed Terraria or if you've enjoyed Starbound in the past. Personally, I am huge fans of those games, and I'm glad to see that something's taking inspiration from them, and therefore I will definitely be playing it. With all that being said though, I just want to give you all a quick thank you for watching this video, as well as a shout out to our Platinum and Above channel members, which currently include Caustic FPV, Jonathan S, Gerald89, Jim Phillips, and AZ Blackbird. You are so awesome, and we couldn't do it without you, regardless of whether or not you're a supporter or just watching this video. I'm Game Advisor, and I'll see you in the next one.